So what can I do for you?
Well, I talk to people from different countries. I was talking to someone from Egypt, and he is
Uh-huh.
a very strong Muslim, he's really
Uh-huh.
into Islam. And so we'll talk about this, and I don't really believe. And he says, "Oh, you have to go talk to the Muslim Lantern, because I cannot make the argument properly, but if you speak to the Muslim Lantern, you'll definitely learn a lot of stuff." And so he
Okay.
sent me the link just a couple hours ago, and
Uh-huh.
I want to talk to you to hear. So maybe we can have a conversation. Maybe you can teach me things that he feels unqualified to teach.
Okay, so what is your position? Well, what are you guys? Are you religious? Do you believe in anything?
No, not. I don't really believe in anything. I would say agnostic.
Okay, agnostic. So what about the existence of a higher power or a creator?
It could be, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, so you're agnostic about God as well. Okay. So, okay, let me ask you a simple question, which I ask to everyone. I'm going to ask you the same simple question. Can something come from absolute nothingness?
No, that doesn't make too much sense to me.
Yeah. It's not only it doesn't make any sense, but it's impossible. 0 plus 0 plus 0 will always equal 0. The non-existence of everything and anything would always be the non-existence of everything and anything, because there's no energy, there's no matter, nothing can give rise to phenomena, there's no agency, nothing will ever happen. It will always be nothingness. So, do you agree with the consensus of science today, or scientific community today, comes to cosmology, that we have a starting point for this universe called the Big Bang? Do you agree with that?
I'm not an expert. Like I said, I don't really have many strongly held opinions on cosmology, for example, because I'm
Sure.
not a cosmologist. But it could be that there is a point in time at which the universe was much smaller, very compressed into a tiny thing that begins to expand. I believe we observe the expansion of the universe to this day as, galaxies float apart. So I think
Sure.
some people imagine things coming closer if you run time backwards, and maybe things would come from a single point. But I don't have any strong opinions about this, honestly.
Yeah, that's one of the evidence. It's not the only evidence. Obviously, the radiation left over from the expansion. There's many things that scientists would use to demonstrate that there was like whatever we refer to as the Big Bang. And you said you don't know. So the person who doesn't know, do you agree with me? The person who doesn't know refers to the experts. And if the experts have a consensus on something, because I'll tell you the problem, right? A lot of agnostics, what they try to do is not to take any position, and then we cannot have a conversation. So you obviously have to take stances. So it's either the universe has a starting point, or the universe does not have starting point. If you're not an expert in a field, then a rational person would take the position of the experts. If experts have a consensus on something, that there's a starting point of the universe today referred to as the Big Bang, then of course I'm going to take the position of the experts. Since I'm not a cosmologist myself, I would say that's the most rational course to take. But if I don't want to take that, then there must be a reason why I don't want to take that position.
Well, I think things can be I think you can take a position on things, which is that they may or may not be true. I don't think that you know very many things in life for certain in general, unless you have
Uh,
observed them many times and understand them very well. Um, so that's why I'm not taking a position. If you're asking me, if you're saying that you can't have a discussion if I refuse to take a position, I think the position would be that I don't have a strong belief in God, whereas you do. So that's where the difference would
it's
be.
not. No, sorry. I'm sorry, Matthew. This is not about belief at all. This is about rationality. Like I've not introduced any belief to you right now. I just asked you rational questions from the start of our discussion. The first question I asked, which was rational, can we have something from absolute nothingness? You agreed with me that that's not the case. Now, then I went forward to give you another rational question. If this is the case, do you accept the consensus of the scientific community today? People are experts in the field. Another rational question, nothing to do with belief, nothing
Okay,
to do with
sure.
faith,
Well,
nothing to do
I,
with
I
any of
think
that,
it
right?
I think it
But
may or may not be true.
no, okay, I think I recognize what the issue is. So let me ask another question, which may be more simpler. Is there anything which is absolutely true, 100%, without a doubt?
There are things which I think are very, very likely to be true, but um,
No,
I, mhm.
uh-huh. No, I'm not saying likely or not. My question is absolutely 100% with certainty true. Absolutely, the word absolute truth means absolute truth. Is there anything which is certain for a fact, 100% absolutely true in every way, shape, or form? It's impossible.
I'll give it. I'd say no. Some things I give them 99.999, but I'm not entirely sure.
All right. So this is where the issue is coming from. And this is why you were just, I would label you as a hyper skeptic. And I had many conversations with people like yourself. Have you read philosophical literature or listened to people who are philosophizing? You know, I'm just going to use that term.
Yeah.
People who philosophize too much. Okay. People who do that just end up in the position which you're in right now, which is a self-defeating position. Do you know why it's a self-defeating position? Because what you just said is a self-defeating argument. If I say there's nothing absolutely certain, is that statement absolutely certain? Either way you answer that question, you have self-defeated yourself. If you say yes, that statement is absolutely certain, then you've just defeated the statement, and there is absolute certain things. And if you say no, then that also defeats the statements, and there are absolutely truth. So either way, nobody can make that claim that nothing is absolutely certain. That is a self-defeating argument that nobody can ever make.
Well,
so
no,
the problem with the hyper, yeah, okay.
Because if I say that I don't know anything, entirely to be true, I don't even know that entirely to be true. That nothing's entirely true. I'm not really.
True. So there could be things which are absolutely certain.
There could be.
No, but before you made the claim that there isn't.
No. I said I don't know that anything is absolutely true.
No, you said there isn't anything absolutely true. It doesn't matter really what you said, but this is what you said. You said there is nothing absolutely true. There are things that I can say are 99.9% probably true, or have a probability of being true, but there is nothing that you would say is absolutely true. So I'm saying that position itself.
I don't believe that I know anything exactly. I'm not saying that I know that nothing can be absolutely true. I'm just saying that I wouldn't know 100% certainly that something is or isn't true in general.
Okay, let me ask this question. Do you absolutely, truly, 100% exist?
Seems pretty likely.
No, that was my question. You see, like, this is the thing with hyper skeptics.
Look, with hyper skeptics. I think, therefore I am. So
I don't care about Descartes. I don't care about the Cogito. I don't care about Descartes. That's not what I'm asking you right now. I know I'm very familiar with these things, but that's not what I'm asking you. I'm just demonstrating to you that you listening to these people who philosophize too much gets you into the position that you're in today, which is the most rational position on earth, that gets you to deny your own existence. If you deny your own existence, if you deny the existence of the universe, when I say deny, that means you don't affirm with certainty the existence of these things. If I don't affirm the existence of these things, then there is a possibility that they don't exist. So I would tell you, with all due respect, Matthew, which I say to all hyper skeptics, when you are certain that you exist, please come back and we'll have a conversation with the person who exists. But if you're not sure that you exist at this point, then I cannot have a conversation with someone who doesn't exist.
Well, I certainly have experiences which, I see you. It seems like everybody can agree on the things that I see and that I exist. So seems pretty likely that it could be that we're in some simulation and that everything isn't what it seems, exactly. And I exist inside of a computer.
So that's my point. So don't even believe that I exist or the people exist. So their opinions are irrelevant if you're not even sure that they exist. Why does it matter what people around you believe? I definitely
would act as if they exist because I'm pretty sure they do.
You just told me you have experiences. How do you have experiences when you're not sure you exist? Who's you? What is having experiences?
It would be like
no, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something, Matthew. Look, I'll tell you something. The fact is, and when I say people like you, I'm not saying it in a demeaning or a disrespectful manner. I mean people are hyper skeptic, basically. People like yourself, what they do is that when it comes to theology, when it comes to the existence of God, when it comes to things which matter from our perspective, which shapes the whole world view, they want to use the card of skepticism. But when they live their day-to-day life, they don't apply that same card. A person doesn't sound smart by doubting everything, including his own existence, which is what we refer to as intuitive knowledge, because the first person subjective experience cannot be proven to a second or third person. It's only a first person subjective experience. It's intuitive knowledge. You cannot prove it to another individual. Everything operates starting from a intuitive knowledge perspective. Now, but you guys live your life. People who are hyper skeptic, they live their life believing that everything is certain. They can pretend all they want day and night that it's not, but they live their life that way. When you right now go and take the bus, or when you take an airplane, or you take the train, or you take any public transportation, you don't say, oh, I'm very skeptical, which is why I have very highly likely skepticism and very rational to have. to say that I'm not sure that the person who's driving this bus is a qualified bus driver. So your existence is on the bar of skepticism. It's the highly likelihood of being true is like, crashing the ceiling. Now, this bus driver, the possibility of him, like the rational possibility that this guy could be just someone who's not a qualified bus driver is very high. If we use rationality, it could be many possibilities why this person is not a qualified bus driver, but you still take the bus and you could die. If he's not a qualified aircraft pilot, or if he's not a qualified bus driver, you could die, you could lose your whole life, but you still take the bus, you still take the plane. When you go to the doctor, you don't tell the doctor, please give me the certificate and a list of witnesses and a videotape evidence of you attending every lecture and becoming a qualified doctor, because I'm skeptic about your qualification. You live your life based on the fact that this individual is qualified, he knows what he's doing, and I'm going to take his medical advice, which could kill me because I can take this medication, and it could do a reverse effect on my body. So you live your life taking everything I just mentioned as an absolute certainty and fact. But when it comes to theology, cosmology, existence of God, these things, you don't operate, okay, I accept this. Even the idea of you having any skeptical thoughts about the bus driver does not ever come up in your life. Until this day, it didn't ever come up in your brain. But it's if you are operating from rationality, which is the claim, which you're not. If you were, it would be something you would think about a lot more than you would think about this conversation.
Well, I mean, there's a chance that your car breaks down, that your tire explodes when you're driving, right? But it's a small
That
chance.
there's something on the road.
There's something on the road. I mean, a lot of people die in car accidents. So there's a chance that this happens, but it's pretty low. And a lot of people, I'd say most people, go through, they don't have a fatal car accident. That's not the number one cause of deaths, right? And so we live our lives with certain things that, have very high likelihood of, not happening. We just basically go ahead and live our lives without worrying about them. And so I would say that if there was a very high likelihood that God exists or something like that, then it could be something that I would take very seriously.
No, the likelihood of you getting hit by a car is higher than the likelihood that you don't exist, because the evidences for your existence is a lot higher.
I agree.
Okay, but I was making a different point. You are not consistent. You don't have more skepticism towards that car accident than you do with your existence. You don't even discuss the idea. You just live your life assuming that it's true. But when it comes to your existence in discussions like this, you raise that as a possibility. So I'm highlighting an inconsistency. I'm not highlighting which one is less likely or more likely. And the Quran, by the way, the Quran is very clear on people like yourself who are hyper-skeptic. Allah always says they have no certainty. They follow nothing but assumptions. They do not know anything for absolute certainty. They do not know anything is a fact. And people like this just live their life based on doubt. And when they die, by the way, when a person is questioned in the grave in Islam, there's two angels that come to him and they question him, who's your Lord? What is your religion? And what do you say of the man who was sent to you? Do you know what the person who's a disbeliever answers in the narration? It says that he says, I don't know, which is exactly what you're saying to me right now. That is the type of answer that they give. This hyper-skepticism is not only in their life, but it continues to their death, and it continues to hellfire with an eternal punishment. So my position is not to get you to be certain about anything. You need to rethink yourself, these premises, because I'm not going to have a discussion with you where I demonstrate things, and then in the end, you be like, okay, but it could be true, it could not be true. Then I just wasted my 30 minutes in discussing with you. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in people who actually believe they exist, believe I exist, believe the universe is there. And then an outcome of that would be that we'll have a nice discussion.
Let me just say, for example, you could ask me, do you believe you're going to get in a car accident on the way home? Right? I would say, no, I don't think I'm going to get in a car accident on the way home. I could get in a car accident on the way home, right? But I don't believe. So do I believe I exist? Yes, I believe I exist. Is there a chance that I don't exist? Maybe there is a chance, and it's much smaller than the chance that I get in the car accident. And so I think that this position is consistent.
Okay, I'm going to end with this, and you still don't see the inconsistency. I'm going to move on to the next people who exist. I'm just saying that, who know they exist. I'm going to move on to the next person, but I'm going to tell you this.
Yeah, sure.
The inconsistency is in the fact that you still drive home, even though there is a possibility, but you don't believe in the things which are highly likely. For example, if the existence of God is rationally highly likely, or the Big Bang, like I asked you, do you accept the existence of the Big Bang? You would say, I do, just like you would drive home, and you're not going to have a discussion about the fact that there could be this or that. No, you would just say, I accept the existence of the Big Bang, yeah, because this is the highly likelihood position.
No,
this
I don't.
Exactly. So that's my point. This is the ecosystem which I'm highlighting. So I would like you to think about that when you're going home. If you exist, I would like you to think about that and process it. And once you're sure that you exist and you're ready to take actual positions, then we can have a
I could
hopefully
give
a
you
discussion.
probabilities if I could say,
No,
well,
I'm good.
this is
I'm good.
maybe
I'm
with
a
this
person of
percentage.
certainty, not probabilities. So, but it was a pleasure. I appreciate your respectful mannerism, and I just hope you think about what I said because look, I have a long experience with people like yourself. You can watch my channel. There's many videos I discuss with people like you. They have the same
Yep,
exact responses that you say, and I know how these conversations end. So I try to to focus my time on most important conversations. All right,
that's fine.
Matthew. Pleasure
Yep,
talking to you. All right, thank
yep,
you.
thank you.
Bye bye.
يا دعاة رب السماء يا من صنعتم في الأرض نورا يا قلوبا فيها الوفاء بشركم اليوم السرورا